I fucking told you I wasn't doing this anymore. Hit it, Johnny!
Welcome back to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'm never to be seen again until tonight's spook.
So, Spook,
Yes!
it's the most Googled question out there. What happened last year?
To who? Elon Musk?
And the Collingwood Rant.
Trump?
Collingwood Rant. Yeah.
What happened to the Collingwood Rant?
Yeah. You can't ask me about Trump. You have no cards to ask that. Okay, no cards.
About the time I shut it down, are you talking about that?
That could be it.
Would it have anything to do with Collingwood losing and missing out on a finals berth?
I don't know.
It fucking did. No, I wasn't happy at the time with that outcome. It just seemed like a natural reaction of something to do. Where can I centre my angst?
I don't know.
My head was saying.
So what?
Can I drive round to your house and wear your moccasins?
No.
Or could I shut down the rant? What was the obvious option?
Well, wearing my moccasins would be like wearing Batman's cowl. So
That's what I figured as well.
What happens if we lose this year? I mean, I know.
I'm taking the internet down.
Oh, cool.
It's in a building somewhere, isn't it?
So, out of curiosity, while I got you on the spot,
It sounds
live
like
recording,
It sounds like you're curious about this one.
how does Collingwood drive you to that level of anger and frustration? Because today's generation would never understand that.
I think, and obviously I'd been heavily drinking that night, which hadn't
No.
helped. I'd been out. And I came back and I remember watching the game and what did we get up to? About 28 points up or something? Yeah. And we looked...
Comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely comfortable. And then you're thinking, you've got everything at stake. Losing means you're not going to make the finals. You're not going to be able to defend the flag. And you rolled over. It was just like, if they can't be fucked, why should I be fucked? Because it felt at that time that it's absolutely pointless carrying on with the rest of that season. Because what are we going to fucking do? Talk about not getting anywhere? It's just
that
like,
different to...
Yeah, I think sometimes we've been doing this for about 648 years. It was just like, I cannot do another second more. I'm just too angry. And I think you hold that anger. Have you ever noticed how Collingwood make you angry and you hold the anger?
I am a wog. I don't hold anger. Everybody knows about it when I'm angry. I've got neighbours who are wondering what the fuck is going on at my place when I'm screaming at some computer game.
I was about to say that's just video games.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, so I think it's just...
my ex.
Well, how long's this list?
My work.
Life in general.
Life.
Don't talk to me about life. Yeah, so it was just, I think it was just that whole culmination of...
Are you going to apologise to our tens of thousands of listeners?
Oh, fuck no.
That's good. Well, look what I got in the mail. This will make you happy. My Collingwood membership pack.
Oh, is that a Collingwood membership pack?
Let's see what's in it.
You actually pay to be a member of this club.
A scarf.
I mean, apart from dollars.
It's a nice looking scarf. Is that wool or acrylic?
It smells acrylic to me. Actually, that smells like it's made of Guatemalan plastic.
Out of curiosity, after a grand final loss, what scarf is better to flagellate yourself with? Is it acrylic or is it wool?
I wouldn't know. Mine usually end up in a bin somewhere near the MCG.
Something to do with, I don't know what that is.
I think it's a Pope on a rope. Soap on a rope.
Don't they give me the lanyard, the plastic, so...
Do I look like a feminist activist?
Yeah, well... That wasn't doing it. They just... So, Collingwood's memberships are digital for the most part.
Oh, like straight up the clacker.
Yeah, and they're giving you lanyards to put your digital membership away. How much does this cost?
It's a good point, though. But you get... I get a social club card. What are you stuffing in there? A sticker?
That's all there is. These three things. Collingwood FC 2025 member. 25 member. Wow. I mean, where's the fucking slogan? Where's the cool make it legendary and
make it so?
Own the moment and I don't even know. It's terrible. And that's it.
Is that it?
That is it.
Is it a good quality plastic bag at least?
That's fucking it. How much money do you make a year, Collingwood?
Did that upset the members?
They're always upset, aren't they?
Well, yeah, always.
Always.
Usually it's due to something you just said.
No, I thought it was due to, membership benefits being taken away.
Don't talk to me. I just crack the shits midway through seasons.
That was a midway. It's late towards the season.
Late towards the end of the season.
Late toward the end of the season.
It's a nice emblem.
It's actually not a bad looking scarf. They've applied a bit of style to it.
Unlike you. Or me.
Okay, so they've had a list turnover. They've gone full...
Are we going to talk about Collingwood now?
Oh,
I thought you just invited me back on as a guest just to talk about the scarf and then I could fuck off. That's what you said. You said that it was in my contract.
I've
got a contract, haven't I?
That was the offer you got from Soup Luke.
It was only a little offer.
So they've gone the top up yet again. Houston, Perryman, and Membry.
Mm-hmm.
And we've lost Richards and Noble.
Yeah, little fella.
Yeah. So, what state's the list then in terms of contention, serious?
Oh, it has to be in a state of contention. It's got no option but to contend.
But do you think, though, when you look at the list, do you think they're being realistic in believing it's a list that's going to contend?
Oh, didn't you watch the game where we demolished Richmond's VFL side?
Yeah, it was impressive.
Weren't you convinced?
Yeah, I mean, especially that second quarter when they ran all over us.
When they went into cotton wool mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I think, there's elements of that game that if they played like that throughout the year, you clearly, they're having a crack. Surely this is the final crack before, I mean, who do we lose at the end of the year more than likely? Pendlebury go around again because he's going to play 500 games.
It's too hard to tell now because you don't know the way they're going to front up injuries and that. I mean, I actually hope.
But let's speculate. You're going to lose maybe 4 senior players. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the way Pendles has played, again, it could change. But Pendles and Sidebottom, I think, are safe. Howe, I thought was finished about 3 years ago, and he's still going around.
He's reborn.
But I'm still like, how, what do they do if he loses? I mean, he's lost a bit of his spring anyway, but do they end up playing him as a forward or something? I mean, now they're like stacked for mid-sized forwards. What I think they need to do is force a couple out, and I'm hoping that the attrition will actually take care of that.
In addition to that, you'd also hope that it's been firmly spelled out in big letters on the wall that there'll be no favours regardless of seniority, that if you're not pulling your weight, expect someone hungrier to come through. Because I think these games also demonstrated that there's a few blokes on the sidelines that look like they want to get into this side.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because there's still a really big speculative element about the next generation. So
no, it's a good show. You should give it a try.
You look at Finlay McRae. Do you expect anything from him?
No.
All right. So that's already one out. Now maybe he'll come up, but who knows?
He's got didn't they give him another year? He always seems to get another year.
Well, he's there. So right now, Ed Allen.
I think he'll be very good.
Okay. So, but who's he going to push out?
Anyone he wants because he's a fucking big boy.
Yeah, but I mean, being honest, who's going to push out?
Well, he needs to be a midfielder. So you're going to have someone in the midfield underperform for him to come on. I don't think he plays round 1, do you? Or round 0?
Oh, it'll probably depend on DeGoey.
DeGoey's not playing, so he could potentially have his
The two who are really missing are DeGoey and Mitchell.
Yeah, I don't think Mitchell's going to play too many games. Whatever's wrong with him just keeps breaking.
Yeah, but in terms of the chemistry of that midfield, he's probably the most vital element.
Yeah.
He's the one who gets his head over the ball, feeds it out. He's like the Luke Ball was in 2010, 2011, 2012, and...
Isn't that supposed to be Finn McRae's job?
I don't know.
Does he want it?
He doesn't look big enough anyway, but...
Is he hungry? Is he full of desire?
He's not good enough. That's just the reality.
Well, that could be another one.
I mean, he's still young. He could improve, but... The reality is, this is the problem with that next generation. Who's good enough to actually seize the spot? So... Allen, based on beating the Melbourne under-19s last year, he had a really good game, but it was like, you played a Melbourne team that was shot.
No, but I reckon he's just got that big Cripps body size, and
Yeah.
he's got pace, and he's got a little bit of assertiveness and aggressiveness. I think he's the one out of all of them that I'm the most bullish about. That I'd want to see games rapidly pushed into him as early as
Yeah.
possible.
So you got him. McRae just doesn't come up, so he might, but 2 years in a row it was like, oh, he's training so well. I don't expect any of the draftees from last year to come up. And then you have guys like Giaf. I don't know who the fuck else is there. Who's there?
Parker.
Yeah, Parker. I mean, Parker's going to be playing it as a defender. That's going to be a hard defence to win a spot in with Dacos, Maynard, Quainer, Houston there as the mid, small size defenders. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I suppose, that Perryman and Houston will be walk-up starts this year.
yeah, so
They're not going to be nudged out of the way. Your best mate, what's his name? What's his name? The little forward?
Harrison.
No.
Oh, Schultz.
Schultz. These names will come back to me as the season starts. If you persist with them the way he was up and down last year, I don't see him ever being dropped this year.
Who, Schultz?
Yeah.
Well, he's in top 5 defensive fantasy points for the club.
Was that a trivia question from...
I saw someone use that as a defence. It's like, fucking hell, how far-reaching do you have to go to justify his performance and his selection? All right, actually, I'm going to jump ahead. Lockie Schultz, where do you see him sitting in this squad?
Look, I still think they see him running around as this manic pressure provider. I don't know. The jury's still out. I think early on he's probably going to play. I'd really put a question mark over him, though, how he's going to survive the year.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take someone much to usurp his position.
Yeah, well, what if they're just beholden to playing him because of the cost of getting into the club?
That is a problem, but sometimes you've got to concede maybe you made a mistake. And I don't think it's because this was a right decision, wasn't it? He brought him in. I don't think anyone at the club feels that they should need to own that decision.
I don't know. I mean,
or feel like they should own the decision. And look, from all accounts, he's a nice bloke and all that thing. He's well liked around the club and that stuff. Look, it's just a harsh nature of sport. Sometimes if you're just not doing enough, you don't hold your spot.
look, I mean, with any player, I hope they perform well because that means it's better for us.
The whole machine
With
performs
Schultz,
better.
some of the justification of Schultz, like, oh, he was second in our goal kicking last year, is like, yeah, pretty much him and Hill were the only two forwards to play the whole season. The rest were dropped out. With Schultz, when I look at him, he doesn't have McCreary's pace. He's quick, but he doesn't have McCreary's pace. He doesn't have Elliott's hands. He doesn't have Hill's X factor. He's just competent in a lot of things. I notice he goes for a lot of those Taylor Adams kicks where it's like, oh, there's someone 50 metres away between three opponents. I'll go for that. On the game against Richmond, he slipped over a lot. And
Was there any banana peels on the ground?
no, I don't think so. And the tackling...
What about oil?
No. The tackling that they raved about was like, I thought, it was so-so, but I mean, McCreary missed like 6 games, was ahead of him in tackles, so he'll obviously be better if he becomes the 6th forward in a multi-pronged forward line, but I just don't really see anything. It's like when they got Hill, like I saw a lot of potential upside, and we've seen it. With Schultz, I hope he finds it, but there's nothing in there. I'm thinking, what last year, wasn't there that we're going to see this year? There maybe there's some cohesion with forwards because he didn't get to play with them, but I really don't know, and I think if Harrison was still fit, there'd be a lot more pressure on Schultz for his position.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think the core thing though is based on what you said a bit earlier. Is it's the cost. Is
Well, that's the problem.
Where you judged harsher. Well, not so much harsher, but if you imagine if we'd given up pick 70 and maybe some fringe player or something for him as a swap, people would be calling for his head to be dropped pretty quick. However, though, I think we all feel that sense of, fuck, it's cost us a lot. Surely, if we keep playing him, we're going to see that cost justified.
Yeah, I look at it too from the point of view, if paid a pick 10 and then some more for him, if he was a 19-year-old, would you have spent a pick 10 on him? Or 18, 19, I mean, he's effectively the same player as McCreary. I'd say McCreary's a better tackler and he's quicker. And McCreary we got with like a pick 40 something. So obviously Schultz has the experience behind him. He had a good year coming off Fremantle.
Yep.
I mean, that's some, like cousin Nicholas and that were pointed out that potentially the Fremantle style suited him, which was a lot more defensive base, whereas the Collingwood styles, the ping-ponging, is that suiting his capacity to pressure?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've had a year with him now. Surely you've got a list of strengths and weaknesses you think you can capitalise on. You certainly don't play in the same way he was played last year.
Well, again, I mean, if you take the injuries away, he becomes a 6'4", because he's certainly not better than Elliott, Hill. Potentially, he's as good as McCreary as a goal kicker. He's not as good, I don't think, defensively. And then you can't compare him to the taller forwards because it's a different role. So he's the 5th or 6th best forward. And I think McCreary is much better defensively because, you look at last year when McCreary came back, that's when we started our little run and he really added that ferocity to the forward line. So,
yep.
Hoskin Elliott.
I mean, I think, you had Fly stating that the Perryman was brought in essentially to do the same sort of role as Hoskin Elliott. What does he call him? The Swiss Army pocket spoon or something? That he's going to be a parts player, and on early showings, I think he does it better already than Hoskin Elliott. Does that mean you carry the two, or is one inevitably going to usurp the other? Hoskin Elliott's going to be late 20s now, isn't he?
I'm pretty sure he's about 31, but
so I think that type of player that doesn't have a lot of strings to the bow, the end's going to come pretty quick. When we will reward him and we play him now because he fulfills roles, but not really particularly damaging, and I think we've always been critical in that respect. That I think he's that sort of player that you always thought could do more, but just
he's got
vanishes.
all the ability, he's got the skill.
But I just, at this age, is he going to get any better?
No, I mean, you could play him more somewhere to suit him.
What, the VFL?
Yeah, or like just more like wing or half forward. I think he gets thrown around a bit because he can sort of fill those roles, but it's like, as I said before, I'd love for any of these players to prove our criticisms wrong because it means it's going to be good for the club. But Hoskin Elliott, he's just doesn't get enough of the ball. And for that sort of player, you'd want him to be, getting like high teens in the possessions, and you'd want him a couple of times just to knock it the fuck out of the park and have like a 28 possession game or something. And he's never done it. You go back to 18 when he first showed up and he was getting a goal pretty much every game. I can't remember if that was his first season, but he was consistently kicking goals. But that's not happening anymore because of the role he plays. Lipinski.
Well, you got about 94 possessions the other night. Surely you need to apologise.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. I think he'll definitely play more games than he doesn't. He's another one that won't be dropped even if the form dips, but he's just not damaging. He's a little bit... He's very outside.
Yeah, I think there's a role for him when you... He got a lot of possessions the other night because we're running all over him, and then he can provide the linkages and all that sort of stuff, and he does really well.
Yeah.
So when we're up and about, I think he does a really good job. He's not going to be this guy that turns the game for you.
Well, I mean, and that's going to be that's a really good point. It's a lot of these guys are going to get games if we stay up and about. If we start to falter and drop, and look, I think no matter what, I think a lot of our success this year, if we're going to be successful, is going to be determined in a way that the list is managed. You're going to need to keep some of these old guys fresh, keep them out, keep them injury free, which means you're going to have to rotate them in and out of the side a bit. You're going to have to bring big players in. I don't think we can do the 23 model where we try and persist with that same list for the bulk of the year. Look, last year's debacles forced necessity, forced change. I think this year that the plan would be to keep them fit, but not give them a full season of playing. You're going to have to manage, and you're going to get guys getting games based on that rotation. I think who probably normally should be petering off just to keep the age and experience high. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of it's watching this space about
Do
how
you-
we manage that side of things.
Think we'll miss either the departees in Noble or Richards?
No, I think we've got Noble well and truly covered. Richards.
Well, Noble hit a Collingwood player on the chest. Now he's at Gold Coast.
Oh, did he get a vote in the Copeland for that?
I
Do
don't
you
know.
think this year we'll get one?
Potentially.
Richards is the interesting one because I think he did demonstrate that he had potential. I don't know. Have you watched any of Port's Pracky game?
No.
No, not have I. So who gives a fuck? I don't know. He'll be one to watch. I think his season. He'll clearly probably get. How many games did he play for us last year? It was about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
He'll get a full season, I think, at Port because.
What's his ceiling though? So like, how good could he become? Is he going to become the next Paul Medhurst, or is he just going to be?
I think he has a lot of natural talent, but what is he? He's 25 or something.
Yeah.
He's mid. Like he's at that age and that. I mean, he's short.
He's a light-bodied, smaller player, but he's
Yeah.
quick.
He's a hard one to quantify. I think there's, like I said, there's potential there. He'll be definitely one to watch, and I think he's that classic sort of player that people will rue letting him go. I think clearly we probably wanted to keep him, but the ins we're getting were far better than those two. So you need to get quality in. You got to sacrifice some quality out.
What about Noble?
And Noble. Noble will be all right for them.
Harry Perriman, talking about the ends. How much did you know about him before he showed up?
Not a fucking thing. I didn't even know he played football. Who watches GWS games? I don't think even the GWS supporters watch GWS games.
Why would they?
I heard when they said Perryman's leaving us, they went who? And that was the coach.
I think someone said he played a good game in that prelim in 2023.
Yeah, I read the same thing. Like I don't know. I think it was that high on fucking anxiety that night.
Big Perriman.
Yeah, no,
Perryman's
no, me.
I thought you meant like...
I don't tend to watch a lot of the opposition's players. You tend to focus on your own. You know,
Well, you don't really... I mean, I'm the same.
unless they're really fucking damaging at the time and clearly stand out.
Yeah, it's either that or obviously you like in that GWS game, you'd be worried about like people like Toby Green, you know, Hogan,
Yeah,
you know, the bigger names.
the danger ones.
Mumford, they brought him out again, didn't they?
They dust him off every time we're in a final with them.
Now they'll do it against Sydney because, you know, Grundy's there. Yes, I'm actually really curious. I mean, I think he's a first round draft pick. Obviously, internally the club has some set of criteria which they evaluate these players and determine, hey, let's get these guys down. But he's an interesting one because he's just so anonymous to me. Dan Houston.
I mean, I think his abilities speak for themselves, even though none of them were really on display during the 2 practice games.
I did a nice 50 goal from 50.
Yeah, but I think some of his, he's touted for that kicking, and I think a lot of that kicking accuracy is you're so used to working in another team and knowing where players are going to run that he looked fucking lost with some of his transition kicking. I think that'll improve with time. He's too good a player not to be that average for the first couple of hit outs. I think once the real stuff starts and he settles in, I reckon mid-season he'll be back to sort of normal. But no concerns with him. He's already done the yards.
Well, it was actually interesting because I think it was the Herald Sun did a review of the team and it gave players ratings. And he was rated second in our side behind Nick Dacos. So he was given like a 90 out of 100 from memory.
How? Did you think he was that good?
No, not for that game, just as a player
Oh,
on the
right.
list.
Jeez, I thought I fucking must have slept through it again.
Yeah, you did, and you pulled the pin after that practice game. Remember the second quarter, you're going to killing us. I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, he kept saying, give me the keys to Facebook. Give me the keys.
Tim Membry.
Actually, he's the one I'm very bullish about. I think he... I don't know every week that we can do that 3 mid-tallish forward line, but fuck, it looked all right against a weakened defence in Richmond. Did they have a defence at all? I think they were near the defence.
I don't know.
On the boundary line, the defence.
Yeah,
Did you
that's a
get
good
it?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to do it again?
No.
What about later?
You want me to pull the pin?
You don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. If that trio fire, the Kingston trio fire, That's going to be a forward line that's hard to stop. Because I think the thing is, none of them... Oh, actually, McStay took about 2 contested grabs and kicked the goal from memory.
Yeah.
The rest of them were all opportunistic, sort of...
I mean, some memories goals were just like... There was one that was just like a handball over the top, so it wasn't like it was dominating him, but obviously you got to get in those positions.
No.
I mean, memory was in that Grundy, Kennedy, Broomhead draft, and he got picked up after we picked up those 3, and like when I look back over the draft, I was like, he was the one I would have rather taken instead of Kennedy or Broomhead. You know, I've gone on for how long about stop getting short players unless they have some super skill. So he's come to Collingwood about 15 years late.
But he got there. That's the important.
He got here. So what happens to Mason Cox? Does he play with such a big forward line?
I think this is a difficult one for me. Is that you're putting all your eggs into the Darcy Cameron basket, which is fair enough.
And he limped off training today.
And he limped off training today because of the pressure of carrying the team on his own. Look, so if you're going to go into games, with Coxie's out for a little while, with what?
I've got no idea. I didn't even know he's out. What's he out with?
I think it's
cards?
Altitude sickness.
He's looking for some cards.
He's looking for he's not. He didn't take Trump getting in very well. So whatever. If he's out for a few more weeks, you're going to be forced to play Cameron as sole ruck, obviously, and presumably McStay pinch hits. And I made the point today, or attempted to, that I don't see a lot of logic in a bloke that's done his MCL and his ACL in the space of 4 or 5 months apart, who's played very little games in the last year. Would you really throw him into the ruck right now and risk damaging his knees? Are his knees good? I mean, he could be that type of bullocking ruck, I suppose, that doesn't really jump. Just
what are the alternatives, though?
Well, it's until Cox comes back. But if Cox comes back, you're forcing out one of those tall forwards.
Well, it's not going to be McStay.
No, and I don't think it'll be Mio.
No.
And so it becomes probably memory.
I mean, it's an interesting one with Cox. You play him, you get a better ruckman than you would with McStay or whoever. But you play memory and you get a better forward option. So which way do you go? I mean, obviously Frampton could potentially play ruck.
Yeah, but is he going to be in defence this year, you reckon?
No. Not with that side they got at the moment. I think it'll be Howe more. They'll be the 2 sort of talls. And then you get Maynard, Houston, Josh and Quaynor. And as we saw, last year when McRae played Quaynor on Cameron, Jeremy Cameron that is, it's like, I think he's probably going to use those as like Quaynor and Maynard as tweeners to play on tall players when possible. Because it's all about like sort of the third man coming in and chopping out and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think Frampton will really play. I think the reality is I think Frampton's sort of fallen a little bit out of favour.
Oh, same with Markov.
Yeah,
they're just not doing enough.
Yeah, I reckon it's a bit unfair on Frampton. It's fair on Markov because his performance really dropped away last year, and he was taking like weeks off to go to weddings and stuff like that. Whereas Frampton, when they brought him in that St Kilda game in round 3 or whatever it was, he was really good for the next month or so. And then we got the injuries to the ruckman. And McRae threw him forward. And then when he went forward and started playing in the ruck, that's when he really started to struggle. Mm-hmm. So in an alien position. And then later in the season, I thought when they threw him back, he had some good games. Like, I mean, even that North Melbourne game where Larky kicked 4 on more in the quarter, he put Frampton on him. I mean, for Frampton... look, again, internally, who knows how they evaluate these players. I would have liked for Frampton just to be played at fullback.
If you're going to play 2 talls down back, it really at this stage has to be Frampton and Moore. Because Charlie
Dean's, yeah,
I think he's still a work in progress.
I look at it from the point of view of Moore should never be the stay-at-home defender. He should always be the one who's coming in, third man up, and all that sort of stuff. Frampton should be the one who gets the big jobs on Kurnos and, Larky and all those sort of players, and then Moore comes in as the third man. Moore's, I think he's overrated as a defender. I've said this for a few years. He's really good as the intercept defender, obviously a really good intercept mark, really good counter-attacker. One-on-one, I don't think he's that great a defender.
I agree.
So you get Frampton to play the sort of guerrilla role and get Moore to play the counter-attacking role. I mean, it's always frustrating me that we've gone for years about Moore being full back, but it's always frustrated me when we've had good rebounding defenders, but then we let them get tied to the last line of defence, where all they can do is play 1-on-1, and they can't capitalise on their own strengths. So in terms of Cox, I mean, I think they'd have to play McStay as because if you bring in Frampton, then who goes out? So I think they're going to be playing.
Well, I mean, this is where it comes down to rotations.
I mean, alternatively, they could actually play Huskin Elliott as the ruck, and he'd play sort of that Jack Silvani role of just go give Cameron a bit of a rest. The problem with that Huskin Elliott, he weighs about 60 kilos.
I say you're basically there when the ball gets thrown up in the air, and that's it.
Yeah,
he'll vanish. He'll be like either a ninja throwing one of those gas balls at his feet, and the other ruckman will be confuddled with where he went, or he slips the cloak on.
Yeah, I can't really see anyone else being thrown into that role who's in the existing 23, unless they go for someone like Ash Johnson or something. But then again, you bring him in, then who goes out?
Well, I mean, you probably at some point have to give that Ilio.
Well, he's injured too. Leroy Schmidt.
Is he injured?
Yeah. He's at Collingwood. What do you expect?
Would he sprain his moustache?
I don't know. Is it curious, do you think, that they chopped Kruger and they kept Johnson?
Oh, it's fucking baffling.
Because I thought Kruger showed a bit last year when he got in. He had that one concussion, but the concern's always been his body. But once I think he came back, like he had the calf at the start of the year, I thought he was pretty useful. And then I think he went out again when he had the concussion against Hawthorn. But the way we treated concussions, I mean, all you had to do was sneeze and you were subbed off with a concussion. So I actually thought that was I would have rather kept Kruger than
Ash. I can only assume that Ash is on about $30,000 a year or something, exceptionally cheap. Because did we re-rookery?
Rookie him, yeah.
So yeah, it wouldn't be costing much, and I don't know.
Do you think he has something to offer? I mean, we know he's got the skills, but do you think he has something to offer?
No, not now. You're a couple of years away from his best season was 22, where he's did some really good things. In 23, lost his spot, and I don't think he really ever fought hard enough to get it back.
Well, I think that sort of sums him up. He doesn't really fight hard enough to for any of it, like to win it back, or just even when he's playing, you never see him lead. It's just, I led once, that's enough. You didn't go for me, go for someone else.
He seems to have a lot of natural X factor, but not the bread and butter game that should come.
Well, that's the thing is like the occasional highlight. It's like that Carlton game where he took that really nice mark. Did he really do anything else outside of that? So seriously on Philip McRae, he's out with a shoulder injury, so not a great start.
No, it's not ideal, but apparently it's not that bad. It's going to keep him out for months or nothing like that. But this is his one last shot. I doubt that he's going to fire it though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we shopped him around last year, was it? And there was no takers. I think everyone's wise to it now.
Yeah, I think we offered him to Melbourne for Petrarca and they said no.
Oh, what the fuck? Didn't we ask for a couple of first round picks?
I know.
Jesus.
So, that Richmond game, how much heart did you take from it? And how much was it just like we're playing Richmond?
Well, if you're going to talk positives out of that game, I mean, Richmond are shit. That's a positive, isn't it?
Well, after 3 flags.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd take it, wouldn't you?
I'll take it, yeah.
I'll take it too.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Look, I think the minimum that you want to do against that opposition is you want to just bury them, and they ended up achieving that. The VFL had a very similar scoreline when they played them as well, which probably speaks volumes about where Richmond are at. They didn't offer too much resistance. I think even though you were hanging shit on them like a madman in the second quarter for giving up, and you messaged me about pulling the Rant this year on that occasion and said, "Oh, fuck this, I'm out of here." Was that me?
I think it was you.
That was me again, wasn't it? I think a lot of that, it looked to me like they just stopped running and they just, I think the reality is it is a fucking practice match against a shit opposition. I think they got spoken to a little bit about half-time and
that's the sense I got.
They went up a gear and they did what they could have done and it could have been a bigger margin. But you can only beat who's out there, and they certainly well and truly spanked them. If they I think the most encouraging thing I had out of that game was just how well they transitioned from defence into attack, and they were running back through the middle a lot. Now, Richmond obviously allows them to do that. I don't think every side's going to afford that luxury, but if they can replicate that linking up so beautifully. It reminded me of how they started to play when they clicked in 23. That it became exciting football again. It was fun to watch. I think we were fairly fucking dour at times last year, especially in that fucking Sydney game when they rolled over when they should have won. It's enough to turn you off doing a podcast show. But I came away from that one or that performance bullish. Look, if this clicks and we can keep all these seasoned bodies on the park and we can rotate them and keep them fresh and get some other guys coming up, it could be a successful year. However, though, this is also going to depend on how the competition is. A lot of sides getting injuries at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, and that can derail. Like, if you lose the quality of a Bond and a Trelaw like Footscray had, you're fucking hard up against and losing Butters for Port. I don't think you can undervalue how much that's going to impact them for. Yeah. And they're all saying like they're 6-week injuries, which is usually Collingwood speak for that 6 seasons.
Yeah.
We may never see them alive again, those players. So, look, and I don't want to say that we should capitalise on this, but we should capitalise on this and stay injury-free, let everyone else fall apart this year, and then we just phone a premiership in.
Yeah, the injuries are... I mean, it's interesting because it's having this conversation with some other people about depth and that, just like it really depends who the player getting injured is. You know, you lost Nick Dacos for 4 weeks. It's like a big loss. You lose Huskin Elliott. No offence, Huskin Elliott. I'm sure we're going to replace him. In terms of like the side, so you look at the side that we fielded against Richmond. That's almost as strong as we can get outside of the
Mitchell. Yeah.
If you go back to 210, that start of the year we had Josh Fraser, Tarkin Lockyer, and Shane O'Brien as stalwarts, but by the end of the year they were gone. Yep. So do you see sort of players who are going to be supplanted?
Oh, that's the thing. I think some of the older boys, it must be clearly spelled out to them. And I'm saying this is my idea. I reckon it already has been that you're going to hold your spot on merit, and if you start to taper off, the end can come pretty quickly. And we see a lot of players will pull the pin, mid to late season these days because that's it. What's the point in hanging around playing in the VFL when you know retirement's probably more or less now inevitable and that decision's been made for you? You might as well quit.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Maltos used to say that, if it's better to retire with a little bit left in the tank than, go out ingloriously in the VFL. I mean, I would like to see, a couple of guys succeeded by younger options. I mean, it's going back to Lockyer and O'Brien. O'Brien was actually a pretty good servant of the club, but he was just replaced by a better version in Luke Ball. You had guys like McCaffrey and Blair come in, and they were offering pretty much about as much as Tark and Lockyer, but with their youth, there was a potential for upside. I mean, ultimately, it didn't really happen, but, you get sort of an invigoration of youth and just energy, bringing sort of these young...
Re-energises.
Yeah, and I mean, I really wish we had someone like coming who was demanding a position. So maybe that's just Ed Allen, but he's the only one. But I really wish, there was someone else. You go back to 2006, I think when Dale Thomas came in, he really did that for the side. And then that build to the flag in 10, it was just sort of young players coming in, beams, side bottom, those sort of guys that really drove the energy of that rebuild.
It's funny in that Richmond, I think it was the Richmond game, who was that fucking little... Not the guy who came in from Williamstown through... We've taken him in the VFL side this year, was it?
Was that Joshua Brown?
Josh Brown, that's him. He looked fucking dynamite running around that game. And you think that's sometimes a player who's going, well, fuck, this is my Rocky Balboa moment.
Yeah.
I've been given a shot. I'm going to be on TV for this game. I'm going to bust 150%. And you think, well, how do the blokes like that clearly have that demonstrable commitment and ability get overlooked?
I think there's a bit of age bias. I've said this for 415 years. If you got a player who was like 18, 19, on the list for 2 years, didn't do well, I wouldn't be averse to just saying to him, look, stay in the system, we'll look at you again in 2 or 3 years, see how you're going. I think there's constantly this push towards youth, and although it's skewed a bit where people are, or clubs are, sort of taking a chance on some mid-age players, I think there's going to be a lot of mid-age players out there who have the talent and now have the body development to be plug and play. We talked about it on the Yanks podcast. My check was thrown into the side at 24, 25, and he immediately was playing like he had 70, 80 games behind him. So you get these guys who have the physical development, because that's one of the biggest drawbacks of youth is, it takes a few years to get physically the size of...
to grow into your body.
Yeah. But if you already have that at 24, 25, it's like there's going to be players you get them in the system, they'll do well.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised it's still not a more of an exploited resource with having 18 teams, and then you're going to bring in another one, and then at some point there'll be a 20th team, and that's going to really spread the talent thin. So I really wish they sort of did that. Like, I really wish they'd go back to some of these, players they might have had in the past who are tearing it up now elsewhere and just go, well, let's have another look at it. I mean, again, I don't know what the internal criteria is.
You would think that there almost needs to be a better pathway into this system than just senior bodies breaking down and you get mid-season drafted in. It's almost like with that Brown thing, that if there was an impetus to bring them into the VFL, which meant that you're investing time and training and education into them to be better players.
A whole lot of money.
You should be able to hold them and keep them in the VFL for a year or two or whatever, but you're guaranteed first dibs of elevating them. Whereas now, you can, like that Brown could run around, he could have a dynamite season in the VFL, and then the 17 other clubs are going to give him an opportunity, which is great, he gets an opportunity, but I think you almost should negotiate with the team that's done that initial investment to get the okay to release them or something like that. So at least it gives you a sense of ownership around the player that you're developing, you're putting time into it, maybe you put a little bit more extra effort into their development.
Well, it'd be good if you could sort of like almost had scholarships. It's like, we will pay you a nominal amount to, so you can spend a bit more time on football rather than, having to work a 9-to-5 job. And we get first dibs at you if you actually improve to a level where we think we're going to take a chance. It's sort of a farce that you have this list of 42, and the way lists are structured nowadays, 23, so over half that list is already inside in the team, and then you'd average probably at least 7 injuries at any given time. So you're almost like down to about 8-9 players who could come into the side. So you don't really have a lot of flexibility in that. So it would be good if they could actually introduce some element where you could track players and their progress through other leagues, whether it's the VFL, the WAFL, the SNFL, or whatever.
Really, you would think that there should be no reason why you can't elevate anyone on your VFL list into the AFL if injuries and everything dictate it.
Well, that would be good.
Because it's part of your development. These guys train with your guys. They're there. They're learning the game plan. They're instant elevated fits.
Yeah, I don't know if those things people draw it. I mean, I can't remember who it was, but someone in the media was just complaining about the way the rookie lists are now being used for senior players. Like Carlton used it on Eddie Betts. We've obviously used it on Markov and Johnson. And it's like, if you had that, would you just sort of load your VFL team with ringers and then just promote them up as
required? Something like that, as long as we win the flag.
Yeah, I don't care. Any concerns about the fixture? Because all I heard from all you crybabies a month ago, was, what a hard fixture. We've got a harder fixture than Carlton, and Carlton finished 8th and we finished 9th, and why is our fixture so hard?
Fuck it. You want to be the best, you beat the best. And as often as you can.
It's actually interesting too. That was actually the prevailing attitude, and it's interesting now when you look at it. Like, 2 of the teams who are now playing in GWS and Bulldogs have a lot of injuries, so they went from scares to you should win those against very depleted teams.
Yep.
I agree. I mean, I've always said it. Just fucking stop whinging. Stop making excuses for failure.
Fucking stop it.
Yeah. An aside. Brisbane Geelong, cyclone approaching, apparently.
How fucking good's the AFL on this? It's like pretty much, here's the importance in the scale of things. Getting that game on TV in that prime Thursday night Channel 7 slot is number 1. Player welfare and safety is probably about number 7. The fans who may have booked fucking flights and everything that are going up, fuck them. We're gonna. What are they going to do? Make that fucking call on the day of the game or something?
Well, I think what they should do is Geelong play Brisbane round 15 at GHMBA Stadium, whatever it is. They should just swap them. I know it's going to inconvenience fans who've booked tickets, but just swap it. Go play this one in Geelong, and then round 15 go play in Queensland. Still the same two teams. You're keeping the fixture alive. You'll have your fucking television spot. So just swap it right now.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult. But yeah,
Or should they just play? Are we too soft?
They pumped the fuck out of this round zero stuff. That like in this instance, and no one would have predicted a hurricane potentially going. And I think most of them they fucking break up when they hit land, at any rate. Although there's meant to be 6,000 mile/kilometre/hour winds that day, and I think the planets are going to impact.
But are we being too soft? Should they just play and risk it?
No, I think
I want to see them risk it. I want to see them go for it. You know what I want to see? I want to see the two teams playing out there as the cyclone's approaching. I want to see one player to go down with an ankle injury, the trainer that running out to go save him just as the cyclone hits, and the player going.
Old Park Kent.
And then next round we see that player on the mountain somewhere.
He got blown up there, obviously.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah, no, I wouldn't mind in the middle of a game that we see a house and a cow swirling around and a witch on a broom.
What would the goal advantage be to...
I think
one
all
side?
of them. I think you'll be having a kick out and that will sail through the sticks at the other end.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then there'll be money to be made in ball retrieval because the kicking out the other end is just going to go up in the air and over the top of the stand. And they just have a bunch of 10-year-old kids out there. We're concerned about their safety, so we should tie a boat anchor or something to their ankles,
I'm not.
so they can't blow away.
They're not our players.
They grab the balls and they then drag the anchors back inside. This could be the best round zero opening of all time.
Could be.
It actually could be 0 degrees up there, you know.
And then part of the marketing, the zero should be like the eye of the cyclone. So get on that AFL.
I think to get into the mood too, and using the zero theme, they should show the first 3 quarters of the Brisbane Carlton final.
Yeah, that would be good.
There was a lot of round zero in that.
Yep. The final 8 last year was Sydney Swans, Port Adelaide, Geelong, GWS, Brisbane, Bulldogs, Hawthorn, Carlton.
Yeah, it wasn't that great though. Final series, was it? No Collingwood, no good finals.
Oh, the Brisbane side of that.
Do you know what should have happened though last year? We should have fucking beaten Sydney in that game.
Yeah. Sydney Swans, do you think they'll stay there?
Will they just roll over and fuck off?
It's probably helped that they've had the replacement of the coach, so they're not hearing the same tight old shit.
I think clearly in the last 15 or whatever it is years since Sydney last won a flag, keep all fucking New South Wales sides out of the grand final because they fucking implode.
Yeah, I don't think we can really speak. Port Adelaide?
What about them?
Do you think they'll make the 8? Like, I'm looking
No,
like...
it's Tinkley's last year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll play like they hate him.
Cats?
No, they chase over the 8.
The Cats?
Cats are annoying. They'll be making the 8.
You don't think they're soft, though, because they won't play in the Cyclone?
No, Cats don't like getting wet.
GWS?
You know, I won't even say that gag. Yeah, what about GWS?
I'm looking at the 8. Like, who do you think will hold the spot and who do you
I
think
think GWS will, just to be annoying again.
Brisbane?
No, I think they'll implode and get the spoon this year. No, they'll be up there again.
Bulldogs?
Although, it'll be interesting to see how they go without Dunny here.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be their big... Because who are they relying on now to be a forward? Hipwood?
I don't know.
Yeah, bottom 8.
I think they went after Lockie Keefe. Bulldogs?
He's still playing. He's
Yeah.
still running around for GWS. Can you believe it?
Yep.
Do they just forget that he's there? He just keeps turning up.
I don't know.
He must have like a fucking gold-plated car park at the ground now. He's got photos, surely.
Well, he played in 12 for Collingwood, so...
He's been in the AFL system now for 62 years.
He's on 12 games.
Yeah, only Ben Kinnear can boast bigger numbers.
Bulldogs? And Finlay
McRae. I don't think so.
I think they'll drop out. I think they'll have a difficult year. Hawthorn?
I reckon... I think what happened last year was just freakish. I don't know whether they'll back up.
Carlton?
Fuck them.
They've had a few injuries.
Good.
And then outside the 8, Fremantle?
There'd be a chance, I think. Eventually they have to click.
I don't know. Essendon?
No fucking chance.
Saints?
No fucking chance.
Suns?
I reckon they will make up. They'll make the 8.
Really? Okay.
I think they've got too many good players.
All the intellectual property John Noble's bringing over.
Well, he said he's the only player that's growing the same hair colour as his jumper.
Did you see the new jumper's terrible?
Is it?
Yeah, they were going like, this is their new jumper. And I was like, it's just red. There's nothing. It's just like looking and going, the fuck was that here?
Did you get a free pair of sunglasses in their membership pack?
No.
Do they give out red scarves?
I don't know. I don't have a membership for them.
What about balloons? The red balloon.
I don't know. Go check with their... Surely they've got some membership group who advises the committee about how they should run the membership department.
So I barely listened to that. I was too busy not giving a fuck about Gold Coast.
Melbourne.
No chance.
Crows.
Almost.
Eagles.
Yeah, they'll win the flag.
North.
They'll make the 8.
Richmond.
No, I don't think they can even make the 18.
All right, so playing GWS on Sunday at the traditional time of 3:20. Thanks, AFL.
Yeah.
Round 0.
That's it. You going up for the game?
Yeah.
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 You going taking a cyclone fence with you? Where are we
No.
playing? Are we playing up there?
No, we're playing up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a pub up there and not make it to the game.
No, I'm looking forward to couching this one.
Yeah, so what's your tip?
I think we'll win this and we'll win this comfortably. 10 goals.
I'm actually really...
Hang on. 11 goals.
I'm actually really interested in how they go because it seems like they have that attitude of let's make up for last year. And right now, injuries aren't too bad. You know, got a couple of bigger ones with Degoe, who they reckon's have every chance to play.
He won't play. They said on the radio tonight that he won't be playing.
And Mitchell.
Well, I expect him to play again. Is he going back to Santorini or wherever it is?
I don't know, but in terms of, you know, like you got... and obviously Houston won't play, still missing for another week.
That's it, yeah.
So it'll be interesting what we do and how intent we are. I mean, they cleaned us up last year, first round. But we generally have some decent games with them, but I'd actually like to just come out and fucking smash them.
Yeah, no. Old school football.
Yeah.
Old school hockey.
Yeah. So I'll tip us by 34 points.
Oh, good work. So we're unanimous. We're fucked.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, it's good to be back.
Really? Okay.
I really missed this.
Did you?
Sitting in a dingy room with 2 lights and a beer.
Yep. Anyway, subscribe, like, leave comments. We're going to answer them this year.
Are we?
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? You?
No, I mean, on the show we'll answer them.
Oh, really? That'll be fun. Is that a segment?
Yeah.
What is it? What the fuck do they know?
Feedback.
Feedback.
Your feedback.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah. And wishing Vic Cumberland a happy birthday. He's 141 today.
Oh, he doesn't look a year over 139.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it.
Anyway, that's it from us.
And that's it from him.
Later.
Oh, that's close enough. I'd take that. We're winning the flag. You
take
take that?
that?
I'll
Yeah,
take
I'll
that.
take
I'll take that too.